If you like this video, please press like and consider subscribing. Thank you.
By now, everyone probably knows that SpaceX had a catastrophic failure with one of their Crew Dragon spacecraft. The test vehicle, one of 3 such spacecraft, exploded on the test pad, destroying the vehicle in the process. Before I continue, I would like to ask you to consider becoming my patrons by donating to my Patreon account. My YouTube channel just got demonetized, and I would like to continue making videos, something many of you here like. But I'd rather maintain full editorial control over my videos on my channel, and for that I need actual supporters, at least until change in YouTube's policy on what is considered reused content, spam and not original. Link for my PayPal account and Patreon account in the description. Thank you. Back to actual story. SpaceX Crew Dragon catastrophic failure. Last night the word got out that SpaceX has suffered major failure with one of their Crew Dragons during the test. It was hard to get any more details other than brief footage of the test vehicle exploding, probably filmed by SpaceX employee. So what happened last night? The very same Crew Dragon used in first SpaceX orbital flight test suffered a catastrophic explosion seconds before planned Super Draco test fire. SpaceX is yet to make a statement as to the regard of what happened. However, footage shows spacecraft disintegrating on the pad. In my last video on the subject, I've commented how I didn't like the look of the spacecraft when it splashed down in the ocean, as I was worried the surface damage seemed a bit greater than acceptable for spacecraft that are supposed to be carrying the crew back to the ISS. Was hoping my opinion was just that, the opinion, and I'm sure SpaceX knew what they were doing, but it seemed there might have been more to it than previously thought. Interesting, however, in last 9 years, SpaceX has successfully built, tested, launched and recovered Cargo and Crew Dragon 18 times, including 5 instances of Cargo Dragon capsule reuse, all with minor or no issues. So last night's failure is first such, well, let's call it what it is, a catastrophic failure of the vehicle in the history of a Dragon program. This failure, and it's a major issue for SpaceX, could be a serious setback. Regardless of the accident investigation's ultimate conclusions, the road ahead for the Crew Dragon first crewed test flight has become more arduous. What we know so far is that SpaceX was in the middle of the series of static fire tests meant to verify that the flight-proven capsule was in good working order after Crew Dragon's inaugural mission to the orbit. The spacecraft was to be tested near SpaceX Cape Canaveral landing zone facilities, where the company has a small but dedicated space for Dragon tests. Crew Dragon vehicle C201 testing began early on Saturday morning, successfully firing up smaller Draco maneuvering thrusters. SpaceX did plan to reuse very same Crew Dragon C201 vehicle for upcoming IFA test or in-flight abort test, requiring the spacecraft to successfully escape from Falcon 9 at the point of peak aerodynamic stress or max Q. Thankfully, with a series of tests on this Crew Dragon beforehand, for testing the Falcon 9 and Crew Dragon at the same time would have produced far greater damage to the company and its reputation. Based on the leaked video of a failure, the Crew Dragon might have suffered much greater damage during the last orbital test than previously thought, which could have led to near instantaneous explosion that completely destroyed the spacecraft during this test. And although this might seem really bad news, I honestly don't think so. As they say, you learn from mistakes and move on. As I previously said, the Crew Dragon re-entry and splashdown in the ocean caused far more damage than we could see from the surface. Although initial signs on the spacecraft from re-entry were part of the design aspect and within design tolerance, personally, I didn't like the extent of the damage and feared if this is the surface damage designed to take most of the re-entry damage and heat, what happened internally? For anyone thinking SpaceX Crew Dragon isn't up to par or whatever, I'll tell you this: Boeing is suffering from very same problems with its CST-100 Starliner. Boeing has delayed their first orbital test for late 2019 as the result of this. As things stand, and I know it looks bad, this will definitely delay first manned mission to ISS. By how much? We'll see. The worrying thing is, this test was supposed to showcase a board system meant to safely extract Crew Dragon and its astronauts from failing Falcon 9 rocket. Major work will need to be done to prove to NASA that the spacecraft is safe. In conclusion, we won't know what really happened for at least another few weeks. For SpaceX to have time to examine the damaged components and what's left of the spacecraft. However, my opinion is that re-entry damage to the spacecraft was too serious to ignore, coupled with a splashdown in the ocean and subsequent water damage might have played their part. I'm very glad this happened now, and not when the actual crew are in the spacecraft. I really am. Imagine the loss of 5-6 souls. Would be immeasurable in my opinion. After this, work on Starship just commenced, giving SpaceX more insight and warning not to be complacent. A great lesson learned. You learn from your mistakes.